Hello and welcome to Moment of Truth on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. So, the big question on everyone's lips today is why the hell has Rishi Sunak not yet sacked Cruella Braverman? I mean, come on, what does she have to do? Take a massive shit on a Union flag, bundle it up, set fire to it, and leave it on the doorstep of Buckingham Palace for King Charles to have to stamp it out? Then again, probably shouldn't give her ideas. This is the woman who described pro-Palestinian protests as hate marches. She went on to upset pretty much everyone in Northern Ireland, including the Unionists, by saying that the organisers of Saturday's march are disturbingly reminiscent of Ulster, in a piece that she wrote for The Times that has since been disowned by Number 10. She also seemed to whine that it was unfair that right-wing and Nazi protesters are prevented from marching by the police when people literally calling for an armistice in the Middle East on Armistice Day are being allowed to march, something that she believes to be clearly breaking the law. Last week, she called homeless people living in tents a lifestyle choice and said she wanted to see charities handing out camping equipment, literally the difference between life and death, to homeless people to be fined. This is the same woman who blatantly broke the ministerial code of conduct when she asked civil servants to arrange a private speed awareness course after she was caught speeding back last year. Of course, Rishi Sunak, being the coward that he is, deemed her to have only breached the highway code. In September 2022, her comments to The Spectator magazine, in which she singled out Indian migrants as the largest group of people who overstay their visas, provoked a furious backlash in New Delhi and was said to have almost torpedoed trade deal talks. We still don't have a trade deal with India, by the way. When defending the government's controversial public order bill, she called pretty much everyone to the left of Hitler Guardian reading, tofu eating wokerati, and accused us of being an anti-growth coalition that was disrupting the roads. Her first stint as Home Secretary ended after just 43 days when she resigned after breaching government security rules after it emerged that she sent an official document from a personal email to a backbench MP. But since she's a Tory millionaire and the rules don't apply to them, she was only out the job for a week. She was reappointed to the role by the then new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. You would think she would have really learned her lesson after her short vacation, but within days she was back to her usual shit fuckery, describing migrants coming to the UK as an invasion. This came at a time when outbreaks of MRSA and diphtheria had been reported in the Manston Processing Centre in Kent, a site designed to hold 1,000 people for up to 48 hours, but at the time there were around 4,000 migrants crammed inside for much longer than a couple of days. In March 2023, she was accused of carrying out a cowardly attack on civil servants after an email was sent out to Tory supporters blaming government workers for blocking plans aimed at stopping small boats crossing the channel. The letter accused an activist blob of left-wing lawyers, civil servants, and the Labour Party of preventing the government from tackling the issue. She's also attracted controversy over her enthusiastic backing of the government's policy of deportation flights to Rwanda. This policy was launched in April 22 under her predecessor, Priti Patel, but is yet to get off the ground, pun intended. Braverman visited Rwanda in March 2023 for a tour of potential migrant housing, where she was famously photographed laughing like a raving lunatic in front of what looked eerily similar to a concentration camp. In 2022, she described front page news confirming the deportation of people to Rwanda as her dream and said it was her obsession to see a plane take off under the scheme. Earlier this year, Braverman claimed that grooming gang members are almost all British Pakistani, something that is absolutely not true. As a result, she was quite rightly accused of amplifying far-right narratives. Are you sensing a theme here? Braverman was also accused back in May of undermining Rishi Sunak with the speech she made at the National Conservatism Conference, or the Nazi Conference, as I like to call it, which many saw as a pitch by her to become the new Tory leader. Now, Boris Johnson famously refused to sack anyone who was loyal to him, allowing Dominic Cummings to stay in post after the Barnard Castle piss take, and Priti Patel to remain Home Secretary even though she was found to be a massive bully. However, if anyone defied him, they were out on their ear. It didn't matter if they were the father of the house, Ken Clarke, or the grandson of Winston Churchill, like Nicholas Soames. But Sunak is such a weak, lightweight, ineffective wimp. It seems he's too scared to sack a Secretary of State who has not only breached the ministerial code on numerous occasions, but seems to take delight in undermining him at every opportunity. The writing is well and truly on the wall for this woman. What the hell is he waiting for? Well, he might just be a weak, lightweight, ineffective wimp. But there may be more to it than that. He might be trying to find out how large the rebellion she can muster is. He might also be waiting for what looks like a failure of the Rwanda policy in the Supreme Court, which is likely to be decided on next week, which may be a good time for a cabinet reshuffle. But whatever way he does it, her days are surely numbered. But here's the thing. Being sacked is almost certainly part of her devious plan to become Tory leader after Rishi Sunak catastrophically loses the next election. Now, there is a very simple way for Rishi Sunak to stop that from happening. He can take the whip away from her. But does he have the moral courage to do what is right and place this hideous woman as far from the levers of power as possible? Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below.